Concerns around Tesla are picking up speed after the EV maker's first quarter delivery numbers left investors questioning if additional price cuts would be necessary to drive sales.
I think consumers are still getting used to these EVs. They're trying to understand electric vehicles. They're worried about charging stations. So I think that there's still a lot of education that has to go on out there for consumers to really start gobbling up Tesla's EVs or anybody else's.
In this video, Yahoo Finance really live up to their name. And if you haven't already checked out the Tesla only Q&A over on Patreon, I recommend it. I actually say something new about Tesla for a change. If you're not a member of Patreon, you can join with the card in the corner or the link in the pinned comment. And just a quick heads up, a video about how to 10x your income in 10 years or less will be dropping in the next couple of days, so stay tuned for that one as well.
Concerns around Tesla are picking up speed after the EV maker's first quarter delivery numbers left investors questioning if additional price cuts would be necessary to drive sales.
Question: how does one obtain a job working for Yahoo Finance? Answer: be a moron and or say things that are moronic. Yahoo Finance is a left-leaning, brain-dead, incredibly corrupt organization that say things that are not true and should be renamed the Ministry of Truth. P.S. War is peace, ignorance is strength, and freedom is slavery. And also, there are concerns about demand for Teslas after their record-breaking quarter. The fuck are these people talking about? You guys understand how the fake news works, right? If you repeat something enough, true or otherwise, people will begin to believe it's true. Sorry, NPCs will begin to believe it's true. It's for your protection, not our quarterly profits. I didn't say that out loud. But if I did say that out loud, you might understand what I'm talking about. I think what I meant to say was fighting racism with racism is it's not racist. Oh, and also a man who thinks he's a woman is is a woman. And in completely unrelated matters, here's a video that appeared on the interwebs recently that I saw, and I thought I might put in this YouTube video. It's totally irrelevant and doesn't relate to my prior comments, but let's play it anyway.
Despite what you might be thinking, these two circles are not equal. I repeat, these two circles are not equal. One is in fact larger than the other. What I need you to do is determine which one that is. So, please raise your hand if you believe the blue circle is larger than the red. All right. Please raise your hand if you believe the red circle is larger than the blue. All right, very good. Now, before I said anything about these two circles, what was your first instinct? Equal, right? Because they look equal. And the reason why they look equal is because, in fact, they are equal. These two circles are identical. Yet I got just about every one of you to raise your hand and say that they're not. So what did we learn? That you can be manipulated like that to believe in something that goes against your natural instincts. Just imagine as a child you're taught that the blue circle is larger than the red. If you say it enough times, you convince yourself that's the truth. If you're told the lie enough times, it becomes part of your reality. And if enough people are taught that lie, that the blue circle is larger than the red, well, now it becomes part of the culture. And if that culture then passes that misinformation along to the next generation, well, now it becomes tradition.
Well, this is awkward, but I have no idea why that clip played in the middle of this video. Let me try and figure that one out here. Like, why would you talking about the circles and they're the same, but if he tells you they're not the same and you're dumb, you might believe they're not. Oh, I think I just got it. Oh, I did get it. That's right. This is an example of what the fake news does to NPCs. They say something that's untrue. They present it as if it's factual. Tesla investors are disappointed, etc. And NPCs gobble the whole thing up and they swallow. Wait, did I say that? Nah. You guys understand how this works, right? We've seen countless examples of this just over the last few years. I could keep rattling them off, but I'm on the cusp of getting cancelled here. So, let's move on. And if on the odd chance I do get cancelled today, it was nice knowing you. You can find me over on Patreon until I get cancelled there as well. Oh, and don't forget, Tesla investors are disappointed after their record-breaking quarter. Because we told you so, dear NPCs. Also, Elon Musk bad.
For more on the outlook for the auto space, we're joined by Cox Automotive Senior Economist and Senior Director of Industry Insights, Charlie Chesborough. Charlie, great to have you here. First, what is this signal about not just the EV market as a whole and where consumer pickup is taking place, but whether or not it's taking place at a lower price and what that means for the competitive landscape?
Well, we just got March sales in, and they looked fairly strong across the industry. There appears to be strong demand out there from consumers for EVs and basically everything that we can see, regardless of these high interest rates. And so I think that does spell good news for the industry, that if we do see a bit of a slowdown in the economy later this year, It's hard to point to anything in the data right now to suggest that we're starting to see a slowdown in vehicle sales, and that consumers may be able to withstand these high rates and slowing economy and still buy these vehicles.
Well, that's awkward. After the incredibly unbiased anchor explained why investors were concerned after Tesla's record-breaking quarter, knowledgeable guest here points out that actually sales are extremely strong. EV adoption is increasing at a ridiculous rate. Despite high interest rates and concerns of a recession, EVs are still happening and there's nothing to worry about. You fucking idiot. But please tell us more about why investors should be concerned.
How much in terms of price cuts is left in the bag? Can Elon pull out of a hat if necessary, if it comes to that? And how does that affect the other auto players in the EV race?
Well, certainly we know that they have some production advantages and that they can, they've said that they can make some substantial savings with some of their production nuances that they have that some of their competitors do not. But I don't know how much more leeway that there really is. I mean, Tesla needs to get certain margins from these vehicles in the U.S. Investors are expecting it. And I don't know that there's much need right now for Tesla to cut their vehicle price, because I don't know that that's really the obstacle right now.
Imagine that. Someone who gets it. What does he get? It's not an issue of demand. It is an issue of supply. Tesla's still selling every vehicle they make while ramping up as fast as they fucking can. Every time Tesla moves prices in either direction, there's endless talk. Oh my god, prices went down, therefore there's no demand. Wait, prices went up. What the f***? Tesla's greedy. They shouldn't be charging so much. F*** you, Tesla. They can't win. But again, as I've said a trillion times, and as is in their master plan, that's why I know it's true, they're going to keep reducing prices overall. They reduce their cost to produce a vehicle. They pass those savings on to consumers. More consumers can afford their vehicles. They sell more vehicles because they're producing more vehicles. That's how it works. That's their plan. That's what they're going to do. That's what they've been doing. And that's what they'll continue to do throughout the decade and beyond. But please, Yahoo, tell us more about why investors are concerned after Tesla's record-breaking quarter.
I think consumers are still getting used to these EVs. They're trying to understand electric vehicles. They're worried about charging stations. So I think that there's still a lot of education that has to go on out there for consumers to really start gobbling up Tesla's EVs or anybody else's. And certainly the Inflation Reduction Act, which was passed last fall, is going to have huge implications for the electric vehicle market. And we're still trying to understand what those cost implications may be in terms of how those rebates are applied.
So in this interim period of time where consumers are still waiting for more details or at least proof that there's going to be a larger, widespread network of charging stations available, how does that place more emphasis among the consumption and the number of buyers out there on the battery for each of these electric vehicles and where they're prioritizing how good of a battery one manufacturer has versus the other in the range of that battery?
Well, and I think that's an excellent question. I think consumers don't really understand what are the questions we should be asking when we're looking at buying an electric vehicle. Normally when we bought a gasoline vehicle, we didn't really ask too much about how far can I go on a tank of gas. But that's probably the most important question that consumers are asking around electric vehicles is how far can they go on a charge? And so I think that, again, that's one of the areas that the industry really has to educate consumers as to what their needs are going to be. Because we know that electric vehicles in general don't travel much over 300 miles. Some of the fancier ones and the ones that you pay up for have some of those features. But for most consumers, just being able to get around town and 200-300 miles may be plenty, maybe all that they need for range. But they don't know that yet. So again, that's one of the areas that consumers need to be educated about.
Well, when it comes to demand, a lot of that comes to affordability and the ability to take on new loans. And I'm reading your notes here. The average loan rate for a new vehicle edging toward 9%, listing prices above $47,000. At what point do consumer credit implications have a negative effect on here? I'm not necessarily asking for a repeat or a comparison to 2007, 8, and 9, but that's the most obvious example when we saw credit strains here. So what is that like, and how does that affect the demand picture down the line with these elevated interest rates?
Well, one of the interesting things in the new vehicle market is a lot of those folks that would be very detrimentally hurt from these higher interest rates. Your more subprime folks, your lower income buyers, They left the new vehicle market back in March of 2020. When COVID first struck, we lost a whole bunch of folks that were more of the lower FICO score buyers out of the new vehicle market. They could no longer afford these products. They had to move into the new vehicle market, and the industry pulled back significantly on incentives that would help get those folks into those products. And so that's really changed the landscape as to who remains in the new vehicle market is a higher FICO score, a higher income, more affluent buyer. They're able to withstand these higher interest rates. And that's why we've seen interest rates rise so substantially in the new vehicle market over the last year. And yet vehicle sales are up on a year-over-year basis. And so I don't think that the industry is quite as vulnerable today as we were back in 2007, 2008, because we've already lost a lot of the folks that we lost in the early days of the Great Recession. So if we do have a hit to the vehicle market this year, we've been telling folks that it's going to be more like falling off of a curb than falling off of a cliff.
Some valid points here, and I just want to expand a little bit. A prediction, it's true. The current interest rate environment isn't affecting more affluent buyers who at this point in time are the people who can generally afford to buy electric vehicles. The consumers who are choosing not to buy a new vehicle are consumers who would probably have purchased an internal combustion engine vehicle because on average they're still a little bit cheaper to purchase than a comparable EV. If you can't read between the lines, less internal combustion engine vehicles will be sold. This isn't really going to meaningfully impact EV sales. It's just going to accelerate the already occurring collapse of ICE sales. The collapse that legacy automotive manufacturers are still trying to cover up with excuses like, oh, we still can't get all the chips, there's supply chain issues, don't worry. This is really building up to be a perfect storm for collapsing ICE sales. So when we see sales implode, profits collapse, companies freak the fuck out, start panicking, have to run their factories at 30% capacity, 20% capacity, then shut them down, then lay off employees. Don't say I didn't warn you.
Okay, I want to kind of pair what we've been talking about with Tesla with some of the legacy automakers here, because we've got numbers from Ford and GM. GM, of course, they put their off to a great start release details out there. More than 20,000 EVs that they've been able to start the year off with sales of. And then on Ford's side, looking through some of their numbers, they were able to see 10,000, nearly 11,000, 10,866 to be exact there, vehicles sold, electric vehicles sold in the first quarter of 2023.
So as we can see, legacy automotive manufacturers hot on Tesla's tail with their EV sales. The competition finally coming. Wait, I should probably have thought before I spoke. Because if I thought before I spoke, I probably would realize that 422,000 is a little bit more than 20,000 and it's a little bit more than 10,000. Competition sure is coming all over itself.
You know, as we think about how they're ramping up production, ramping up deliveries and sales ultimately, what is going to be the biggest selling factor or differentiator between these auto manufacturers as the legacies are going to talk about, you know, what their targets are to get to 2 million by 2026 for Ford and up against Tesla, who's been doing this and has brought the sexy component to EVs to the best extent that you can?
Well, I think for Ford, it all hinges on this F-150 Lightning. That's going to be their key product out there for the electric vehicle market. If consumers embrace those products and they can work out the kinks that they've had in production so far, that could be a real game changer for the industry, because certainly pickup trucks are an important product for the Detroit 3 and certainly the big segment here in the North American market.
100%. The move, and I mean the move for legacy automotive manufacturers in the United States is to electrify their flagship pickup trucks, ramp up production, and sell as many of those fuckers as they possibly can. Ford has already won this race. Traditional pickup trucks. Cybertruck, different story. When released, the Cybertruck will change everything, but until then, Ford essentially has a free run at the pickup market. As we've mentioned, Rivian isn't really going for the same buyer as somebody who's typically buying an F-150 Lightning. Rivian's pickup truck is what we call a lifestyle product. Ford's F-150, despite the fact that many people who own an F-150 don't actually use it to do pickup things, it is for people who need to do pickup truck things with their pickup truck. Ford have really pulled off a strategically excellent move by getting their F-150 electric vehicle on the market. GM are rather late to the party. You did it, Mary. But don't worry, I'm just kidding. GM have their Hummer EV pickup truck. Wait, how many did they deliver in Q? Hello? Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. Just wanted to remind everybody that they delivered a whopping 2 Hummer EVs in the first quarter of 2023. Ford's sole focus, and I mean sole focus right now, should be ramping up production on their F-150 Lightning pickup truck as much and as fast as possible. And I've got to give credit, despite the fact that they're still ramping production, they're doing their best. They made it to market with the traditional looking electric pickup truck before anyone else. And they will sell every single one of these things for years to come.
And if Ford has an EV solution for that, that could be a real game changer for them. But as I said, they haven't quite worked out all the kinks yet. And we don't know that the buyers out there have fully embraced these things. There's all kinds of talk about stated miles, stated ranges that you're going to get for the vehicle, but you don't get those same stated ranges when you're towing, 3,000 pounds or it's, negative 10 degrees outside. So there's a lot of factors that can mitigate the range on that EV battery. And I think for pickup truck buyers that are using these products for, heavy duty construction or work related, real task oriented work, they need to know exactly what these vehicles are capable of.
So in the search data, when somebody is originating a search and it is, for an electric vehicle, do you see that they're within the data that they're looking for any opportunity to kind of optimize what that experience is looking like, whether that be in kind of more battery power so that they can go farther, whether that be in a sport package or, even opting into the heated seats at the end of the day? What does that search look like when someone's initiating it for an electric vehicle?
Well, I think one of the first things they're searching on is, can I get the $7,500 credit for this or the rebate from the Inflation Reduction Act? And certainly price is the key ingredient when folks are looking at EVs. Is this something that I can afford? Is it in my wheelhouse? And so that's certainly an important factor. But right up there as well is the range of this product. How far can I go on this product? And I think one that doesn't get much attention, but I think as consumers get more and more savvy about electric vehicles, they're going to want to understand residual values. And how much of my value will this vehicle maintain over the course of its life? Right. Electric vehicles are relatively new. And with all of these rebates that are being implemented by the government, that's going to have a detrimental effect on residual values a few years from now. So I think that's an area that consumers are going to start asking about as well.
That's a fair point. I don't think all consumers will be thinking this way, but some certainly will. But one question that he didn't mention that I think a lot of consumers are increasingly going to be asking in the future regarding a potential EV purchase is, what's the user experience like? In other words, does this company know how to make software that doesn't suck fucking shit? Because at this point in time, the answer to that question, if you're talking about any company other than Tesla, is no, they don't know how to make software that doesn't suck fucking shit. Eventually, some of these companies may get there, but it's really important to understand. The reason so many people watching this channel use Apple products isn't because their hardware is the best, although they do have some decent hardware here and there. It's all about the software, the user experience. More and more consumers, when they realize how important the software experience is to an electric vehicle, after all, they are computers on wheels, more and more consumers will begin to ask these questions. The worst possible thing that you can do as a company hoping to sell an electric vehicle to a consumer is to allow them to experience one of your vehicles through a test drive, friend, family member, etc. For them to get in the vehicle and have an unintuitive, clunky, embarrassing 2001 style experience with your software and user interface. This, besides the whole failing to profitably produce EVs at scale that consumers actually want to buy, which is actually very important as well. But aside from that whole thing, the software is the area in which all companies, especially legacy automotive companies, are struggling the most. And if they can't deliver here, they are screwed. But then again, if they can't ramp up production without going bankrupt, they're also screwed. So I hope they're into getting screwed by multiple things at the same time. Otherwise, probably going to be unpleasant. Trigger alert, we're going to be discussing something extremely dangerous. Feeling and performing your best. Being full of vitality and energy. Instead of just getting by and trying to get through the day, instead, getting the most out of the day. One of the key reasons I take Athletic Greens AG1 every day, and have been now for 2 years. By now, most of you will know, Athletic Greens AG1 is a great way to fill in nutritional gaps. 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients, plus prebiotics and probiotics and digestive enzymes and adaptogens to help you deal with stress. If you head to athleticgreens.com/SMR or use the link in the pinned comment, you get a 1-year free supply of vitamin D3 and K2. You can start your daily health habit now. Plus, there's a 90-day money-back guarantee, so what's the risk? Here are some very legitimate testimonials. I swear I did not make these up just for entertainment purposes. As you can tell, very legitimate. Let's read. I'm ashamed to admit, I was once an NPC and believed everything the fake news told me. Within weeks of starting AG1, I realized it wasn't for my protection, but it was in fact for their quarterly profits. Oh geez, this is controversial. I'm glad it's 2023, because if I had have shared this testimonial in 22 or 21, instantly permanently banned from YouTube. Thanks AG1 for turning my brain back on. It's been a while. XNPC, customer since June 2022. Geez, this is a long one. Before I started my daily health habit with AG1, I thought the media existed to convey information, not to manipulate hive mind drones into accepting the one true narrative. Thank fuck I have enough energy to think for myself again. Before AG1, I almost divorced my freedom-loving, free-thinking husband because his balls were huge and the media said masculinity was bad, therefore balls are bad. I now appreciate his balls again, multiple times daily. Thanks AG1. Walking Funny Again. What a weird name. Customer since December 2021. And one more. When I first began taking AG1, I felt a strange sensation in my head, kind of like something turning on. I'm not sure what happened, but I seem to be thinking independently for the first time in a long time. As a result, I have become extremely dangerous and the Matrix is coming for me. It was nice knowing you. Guess what I'm trying to say here is if you'd like to improve your gut health, fill in nutritional gaps, boost your immunity, and more importantly, have enough energy to actually use your brain, and therefore become a dangerous threat to the one true narrative, head to athleticgreens.com/SMR or click the link in the pinned comment. Start your daily health habit now and let me know what it feels like to unplug from the Matrix in a few weeks' time. And don't forget to head over to Patreon and join if you're not already a member. Over 300 exclusive videos. The next one to drop, how to 10x your income in the next 10 years or less. You're definitely going to need some AG1 for that. So, see you over on Patreon. Love ya.